Hello again, and welcome to another Shades of Coffee video. This time it's about the Shades of Coffee steam valve service kit. So this video only really applies to the Shades of Coffee steam valve. It doesn't apply at all to the standard Gaggia steam valve. So your steam valve must say Shades of Coffee on the top of it, and it must be a Shades of Coffee valve that's made by us. So optionally we provide a service kit that you can either buy with the valve or you can buy separately, and that contains a number of parts. It contains some thermal silicone O-ring grease, which is food safe. It contains 3 optional PTFE seal cushioning O-rings. They're 1mm thick, which is the standard size, 1.5mm thick and 2mm thick. It contains 2 valve shaft O-ring seals, and also the most important part, the actual valve seat seal itself, which is a PTFE plug, and the PTFE plug retaining screw. So you get these parts within the service kit, and as I said, they only apply to the Shades of Coffee steam valve. So we're showing this here with a steam valve mounted to a boiler but outside of the machine, just so that it makes it a little easier for everyone to see what's going on. So we'll show you how to use these parts and where they fit, and how to service your steam valve should you have any sort of problems with it or any sort of leaks anywhere. So the first thing you want to do is remove the knob by just pulling on it. If it's a standard knob or it's a Shades of Coffee steam knob, then you can remove and fit those just by pulling them off and pushing them back on. If it's another steam knob, you may well find there's some ugly retaining screw or something in it which needs to be released. If you fitted the black protection disc onto the valve, then you may well find that you have to remove the screws, loosen the boiler, perhaps even loosen off the steam wand before you can remove the black retaining disc. But you need to remove the black retaining disc so that you can access the actual nut itself. Once you've gained access to the nut, it's fairly easy. Again, the easiest way to do it is just to use the retaining, the plastic guard, but it's fairly easy to loosen the nut and remove the nut completely from the valve. Once you remove the nut from the valve, we can then remove the shaft. So you turn the shaft until you've exposed at least one O-ring, and you should find then if you pull, then the shaft actually comes out from the valve. We've cheated slightly with this one, and we've already removed the O-ring, the seal and the screw from the end of it, so that we can just show the refitting procedure. So normally you would find that there is the PTFE seal already in this, with the screw already in the end of it. So when you pull it out originally, it would look very much like that. So we'll show you now just what to do to replace these various parts. So if you want, you can either replace the O-ring that sits behind the PTFE seal, which is a cushioning O-ring, with the 1mm thick, the 1.5mm thick, or the 2mm thick. We quite like using the 2mm thick one. So even though the 1mm is fitted as standard, that gives quite a firm feel to the closure of the valve. We quite like the soft close on the 2mm thick. So make sure that your choice of O-ring is sat in the bottom there, and then get the PTFE plug with the screw fitted and place it back into the end of the shaft. You should then use a precision screwdriver on the very small Phillips screw on the end. This is a 00 size precision screwdriver bit, and applying a little bit of pressure, just tighten that up so that it's just holding the screw and the PTFE seal in there. You don't want to tighten it as hard as you possibly can, because then you'll be compressing the Viton O-ring as much as possible, and you certainly don't want to be doing that, because that won't then give you any cushioning whatsoever. You need to make sure that the O-ring can still be compressed, so don't tighten that as fully as you possibly can, just tighten it enough to hold the PTFE seal on the end there. If you need to replace the seal O-rings, if for whatever reason the seal O-rings have failed and you're getting water leakage out of the end of the valve itself, then you can either prise or cut those O-rings off, and you can typically use a flat bladed screwdriver underneath the O-rings to lever them off, and then fitting a replacement O-ring is exactly the same. They're all of the O-rings are fairly hard Viton high temperature O-rings, and they feel fairly stiff, but they will stretch slightly, so you can stretch them and just position them back onto the seal just by leveraging them there typically with a small flat bladed screwdriver. So you can refit the O-ring shaft seals, you can refit the cushioning O-ring behind the PTFE seal, you can refit the PTFE seal, and if you need to, you can also replace that screw. All of those parts are included within the service kit. The only parts you don't get in the service kit are the actual brass body itself and the brass shaft itself. They should never need replacing. Once we've replaced any O-rings we need to replace, we can then, if we want to, use the food safe silicone grease just to lubricate the O-rings, and this makes the O-ring action a little bit smoother, and obviously also prevents unnecessary wear on the O-rings themselves. So a small amount of silicone grease on the O-rings helps to seal them, helps to fit it, helps to reduce wear, and then we'll just place the shaft back into the body, turn the end very slightly, and we should find that it starts to move back inside the body of the valve. Once it's in far enough, we can then refit the knob on the bolt on the end, sorry, the nut on the end, and then finally, however we're doing this, we can replace the black plastic retaining protection disc, and then finally, if we want to, we can, making sure we've got the flat on the knob aligned with the flat on the shaft, we can also replace the knob on the end. And now we should find that we have a very nice, very smooth, very nicely cushioned, non-leaking Shades of Coffee Gaggia steam valve. Hopefully that helps.